God aften alle sammen. Good evening everybody. Let me do as I usually do, share my live stream in my groups. It's the first thing I do before I start. Welcome people. Som sagt, aftens livestream bliver på engelsk. Og undskyld, jeg er lidt forsinket. Jeg sad og snakkede med en gut, og så løb tiden fra mig. Så jeg fortsætter livestreamen på engelsk. Jeg er ikke særlig god til engelsk, så som dansker med de skoleengelsk skulle du nok kunne forstå det. Sorry for being late. I have been sitting here the last 4 hours talking with a new friend, and suddenly we were talking about spirituality. We started by playing with each other for an hour or so, and then we ended up talking about spirituality, and I forgot all about time. That's why I'm a little delayed. And like usual, I always start my live streams with a prayer to call on God and my divine support, being my angels, my soul group, God, to help me and guide me. So that I will do, and then I will, like I say in my presentation, it will be all intuitive today. I have not prepared anything. My heart is spinning around so many subjects these days, so I'm just gonna intuitively swing it, as we call it in English. So I'm gonna start with a little prayer. You're welcome to fold your hands if you want and close your eyes. I do that normally. So thank you, God, for being in my life. And thank you to all souls in the spiritual realm that's gonna help me and guide me through this live stream. Help me say the things that, not what I need, but what needs to be said. Let me be that humble person that I've grown into be, and loving and caring. Open people's hearts so they will invite and be strong enough to actually change themselves to becoming the best version of themselves. I thank you for using me. Hover over me, God, in everything in my life, and guide me through my intuition, and forgive me for the things I need to still change. Thank you. Oh, Sunday evening. I have had a week where it has been in the computer gaming world. Most of you that knows me as a spiritual guide, as a person who is insightful, loving and caring, and understand things and share things that are important to me and are the universal truth that will help people get onto the path that are not so painful as the one they're walking on. Are often for me to relax from my spiritual work, I need to be watching a movie or playing a game. Those are the two things that made me relax in my head. and the last week I have been deep in 2 games that I bought. I love playing games, and then I'm very new to this online gaming world where you can actually play with all other people around the world. So I've been doing that. It's like I needed a vacation from my spiritual work. I want to start this intuitive guided live stream in English with a little thing that happened to me and to you that knows me and know the things I struggle with, the thing that I find the hardest to stop doing because it's not good for me, is smoking cigarettes. That's the last thing I need to get rid of, and don't let it control me anymore. And I have been quitting so many times and falling back into it and starting smoking again and quitting again for 10 days, 15 days, 2 months, 8 months, and getting back into it again. I have promised myself before that I'm 50 I will quit smoking because it's not good for me. Everybody knows smoking is not good. So I have many times asked God for help, and He surely helps me in my decision by taking away my need for nicotine, my need for that addiction. But because I'm in my world and my way of saying it, I have not been ready to let go. I have still not ready to let go of that addiction, smoking cigarettes. But yesterday night I prayed to God, and I said, for the first time, I asked for some divine guides, some souls, some angels that could help me, talk to me, guide me, tell me, show me, give me signs, and so on. And the funny thing, when I woke up around 5-6 o'clock, I was in my head. I remember I woke up, I was singing, and I had this when I'm being intuitive guided in my dreams, I see it as pictures. And I had this picture of me sitting playing on my guitar, singing this song, and I could see the chords, I could hear the melody, and I could hear the words. And I remember, and this is something that hits me every time I'm getting intuitive guided when I'm sleeping in my dreams. I have decided to listen to my intuition a long time ago because my intuition is the divine guiding me in the right direction, giving me what I need, and answering my prayers. And I was in bed and I was like, oh no, I really wanted to sleep 1 hour or 2 hours more. But the funny thing is I wasn't able to fall asleep again. My head was spinning around with these words, this first chorus and all, this melody, and so I just surrendered. I got up and I picked up my guitar, and I didn't look at my phone, I didn't do anything. I want to be, when you get some hits from when you sleep, it's very important that you write it down, talk to a microphone right after you wake up, because very shortly after you have had those experiences in your dream and you have them in your head, they will disappear. So I sat down and I started writing. And the funny thing is, here in Denmark we have an artist that's called Kim Larsen. I've been listening to him and I love his music. He died, I think it's a couple of years ago, and I'm pretty sure that his smoking cigarettes was one of the parts that killed him sooner than he should die. And this song that I'm writing on now, these lyrics are inspired, what do you call it? It is like Kim Larsen is speaking through me. It is like he's sitting somewhere in the spiritual realm, and he still have music in his heart and in his soul, and it's like, this is not my music. This is his music channeled through me. So in a couple of, I don't know, days, weeks, I'm gonna put out a new song that I have been inspired by this way. Yeah. And actually my live stream tonight is I've been thinking about that. I wanted to talk a little about my group, Spiritual Guidance, spirituelle vejledning. I remember when I was beginning my spiritual journey, I was like, I was looking for people I could not look up to, but I was looking for people that could help me somehow evolve, teach me what I needed to be taught so I could move on in my life. And I just lost it. Hang on 2 seconds. I'm gonna rewind in my brain. Yeah, and my way of getting on in my life was actually educating myself as a drug counselor, and what we needed to read in that education, I fell over this woman called Carolyn Mays, and I've read all her books and watched all her videos, and she was the one that started me out on my spiritual journey. She was the one that saved me from not wanting to live anymore, from surviving to starting living. And when I talk to clients, when I have friends, when we get into this subject about life, I very often hear people say that I wish I have heard this years before. I wish there were people that will guide you, will give them their life's teachings so other people could use it if they want, because all spiritual leaders are talking about their way in life. They're talking about the road they are walking on. I also do that, but I'm very inspired by what I call the universal truth, the truth that's true for everybody, all living things. And my Facebook group called Spiritual Guidance is a group I made because of that I feel I have something to offer. I feel that I want to give back what I've got. I want to plant seeds in people's heart. That's called hope. Love, sharing, care, forgiveness. All the tools that are necessary to incorporate in your life to start living a spiritual life, to have a spiritual practice. So my group is like, I recommend videos, I recommend books, I write my own slogans. I'm inspired by God. I sit down and try to share hope, love and care. I know there's a lot of evil in the world. I know there's a lot of ignorant people. I know there's a lot of people that doesn't know that there are consequences by their actions. But this is not something that I'm interested in. I've not closed my eyes to it, but it's not something I'm gonna spend my time on, because I have realized that whatever is in my mind, whatever I concentrate about, whatever I think about, is gonna attract the same to me. So I made a decision many years ago that I'm not gonna watch TV, I'm not gonna listen to radio, I'm not gonna be interesting in what people has to say, what their opinion are, what they think is right, and all this. I'm like, I know that all the answers are in my heart, are in my soul. I also know that my ego, my brain, wants to figure everything out, wants to know why thing happens, what I can change, how to do it, wants to give me solutions to my problems. So the things I have gone through, the things that I realize, the things that I'm working, the spiritual life I'm living, and helping me being able to be the person I am, is what I'm sharing in this group. I don't know how long I've had the group, for 7-8 months or something, almost a year. And I'm surprised, no, I'm not surprised, I am sad about so few people in the group actually commenting or just pushing I like or I love. And it tells me, it gives me a clear picture of how many people actually wants to have a spiritual life, how many people actually are ready to change, their lives into the better. How many people actually are willing to swallow what we call here in Denmark, swallow a camel, swallow your false pride. And I have to keep reminding myself that I didn't make this group. I don't make my posts, I don't make my music, I don't write what I write because I want acknowledgement, because I want people to like me or like my posts. I'm not a friends collector. I'm not a collector of compliments. I'm not a collector of acknowledgements of who I am. I'm not in the need of people telling me, yes, you're good, yes, you're loving, yes, you're caring, because I know all those things. I appreciate and I love when people say thank you. I appreciate so much when I get a comment, and I always write back. I see so many of the spiritual leaders, especially the new ones, get a lot of followers, but they don't get back to any of the followers. They have a lot of questions, a lot of things writing underneath their posts, and the person who is a so-called spiritual leader don't take their time to actually acknowledge and talk to these people. And this is one of my things that I appreciate and I adore and I respect, that it is very important for me to not ignore people. And like I said in some of my other videos, there's a big difference of wanting to help people, to say the right things to people, and then the difference being, let me tell you what you should do. Du skal, as we say in Danish. You must. When I talk about, when I think about Christianity and religions, and they all say you must. And this is where I become sad. This is where I lose respect for religion, because God is not a judging energy. God is not something that says you must do. God is not something that judges you. God is a forgiving, understanding, guiding energy that will never ask anything of you. He will support you in whatever decision you make, if it's a good one, if it's something that's good for you. Like I say in one of my slogans, whatever you do that makes you feel bad, are you willing to stop doing that, to start feeling better? Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them about spirituality, not about everything else, because I have tried to open up for asking questions about anything. And that video is all about woundology. It's all about wounds. It's all about how much people are in pain and what they need to do. And Spirituality is not about sitting and picking your navels. It is not about being lost in the past. It is not in being scared about the future. It is spirituality is about realizing what is it I need to do to feel better. One example is the person who thinks a lot about the past and worry about the future at the same time as they start try to live in the present are people that get crazy in the head because they have so many balls in the air. And for me, life is very simple, but humans has a way of complicating life because, like I say, because the ego controls, the ego wants to understand. And in that way of thinking, if you take away the ego and you only listen to your heart and you seek advice from your heart and you're being controlled by and you listen to your heart, you cannot go wrong. All the big spiritual leaders always say the answers lie within, and the point about that is that the answers are not in the people around you. The answers are not in society. The answers are not in books. The answers are not from your parents or from your friends. The answers are within. The guidance you need comes from within. And the part called within is being guided by a higher presence, God, angels, if you believe in those things. In my opinion, when people don't believe in God, their life will be so much harder because they're missing out on grace, on that thing that you can invite into your life, that you can be guided by, that you can ask yes and no questions, and you can be answered right away. Intuition. A lot of people talk about intuition, and a lot of posts are about, let me help you be intuitive, and you can work with this and blah, blah. I always ask people in those posts, what is intuition? Because people are very confused about what intuition is. Intuition is the truth being delivered to you in a split second. And if you listen to your truth, you take it in, you use it, you work it, you are thankful for those information, that data that is being downloaded to you, and you invite it into your life. And the more you invite the intuition into your life, the more you will hear it. People that are too scared, a lot of people say, no, that's too fast for me, I cannot deal with it. They will eventually lose their ability to hear their intuition. And again, motherly intuition and this intuition are two different things. So that sentence where I say, I send my brain on vacation and I say never come back again, that is like I'm telling myself that I'm not going to listen to whatever my brain is trying to convince me are the right thing to do. Because in my opinion, the brain will get you on the wrong roads, the more difficult roads in life. If you imagine that there is a road in life that is very happy, that is very loving, there's very non-judgmental, there's no problems, there's all love, sharing, care, harmony. If that road, not if, that road exists, and I think most people want to go on this road, but to be able to go on that road has a consequence, and that consequence is you cannot behave badly, you cannot treat yourself badly, you cannot The things you do that makes you feel bad, are you willing to let go of that to start feeling good? The things that makes you feel bad is the bad decisions. Is the decisions made by your ego, is the decisions that are going to lead you down roads that is troubling, that is more painful. And my point is that my road is peaceful, is loving, is caring, is forgiving. There are some things I have chosen. So let me draw a picture in your head. If there were a couple of glasses you could put on that will make you able to see roads that are troubling, hurting, painful, and they will light up the roads that are good for you. I wish those glasses exists. They would be the most sold object in the whole world. It will make people's lives so much easier. But in this working with yourself, becoming a spiritual person from before a normal person, there are some things you need to take up to, what is it called, evaluation. You have to make some decisions that are good for you. You have to be honest to yourself. And it is individual things that needs to be changed from person to person. It can be changing job, it can be changing the place you live, it can be saying no to friends, family, children, co-workers, government, police. So this group, Spiritual Guidance, I see it as a group where if people want, they can get some tools. They can read my writings. They can go watch some of the videos that I find interesting and truthful. They can listen to my speaks. They can see my live recordings, and then they can start working with themselves. I don't have the solution. Or actually I do, but it's not one solution. It's a lot of solutions. If you look at why you have the problems you have created, then there's not one answer that's going to solve all those problems. Then there's not one solution that can change your life. It's like a string of things that you need to change. It's like, I call them inner demons, character defects, bad behavior patterns, bad habits. And I have a little story from my own personal life that, for example, the last live stream I had was about why people don't want to heal. Not all people wants to heal, and that is something I have to remind myself over and over again, that it is not everybody's decision that they want to get better. Some people are actually very happy about how their life is, even that they're on a difficult road, they're on a painful road. I was walking in the woods and I met this young couple, and this was the day after I stopped smoking, and I felt strong and I was confident, and I'm not going to smoke anymore. And the evening before I quit, and this was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I had not been smoking the whole morning and afternoon. And we were talking, these youngsters here, it was only the girl who was talking, she was 22 years old, and she was talking about all the pain in her life, and I told her about me quitting cigarettes, and she said yeah, and she was addicted to weed, but she used it only because she was in pain. And I tried to explain to this girl here that I've been addicted to weed for about 20 years, 18, 20 years. And in my opinion, smoking weed on a regular basis is not something that removes your pain. It dulls your you're like, you don't care about your pain. That is the thing about weed. It works like it dusties up the wiring in your brain, so it doesn't function that good. And I told her my opinion about it, and we kept walking, and she interrupted me over and over and over again, and suddenly I had enough, because it was so hard for me to actually be constructive and loving and caring, because I was being stopped in the middle of a very important sentence I was trying to say to her. So I stopped the walk and I looked at her and I said, I hope that I have the pleasure of talking to your heart and not your ego. Would you please not interrupt me? Because you, first of all, you don't, and I didn't even get a chance to finish the sentence. But, and she got all crazy in her head. And I said, because you cannot listen to what I'm saying when you interrupt me. The first thing she said, that everybody that's in denial says, you are interrupting too. And this is the perfect example of throwing mud. My dad beats your dad, my dad is stronger than yours, and this fight about power. But what she didn't realize was that here was actually a person that was so much in harmony with himself and had integrity enough to actually tell this woman that it was not very respectful to interrupt when we were talking. But it ended by her screaming and shouting, I was an old dude, man, and I should just get the fuck out, sorry my language. And I remember I just stopped and I looked at her and I said, I'm so sorry. You're a drug addict, you're in denial, you're suffering from a low self-esteem, you have no self-love. You're going to remember this the rest of your life, and the day that you choose to stop the pain in your life, you're going to remember this talk. But she was so cruel. She was so cruel. And I just said, okay, I'll forgive you, bless you, and have a great life. Here's my name, like it says on my cap here. Go home and Google my name and watch some of my videos, and realize that I was actually just showing you care. We have in the last 150 years looked upon caring as, how do we say it in English? Don't tell me what to do. Because like I talked with my friend about, there's a big difference between showing love and care and understanding and wanted to help people from going on a really struggling road to an easier road, to go and say to people, you must do this, you must read chapter this in this book, you must take the Bible and blah blah blah, like all the religion says, this is what you must do. I keep myself in a short leash when it comes to being humble. I don't, in the last 3 years, I've been good at not being provoked into reacting, responding to their craziness in their lives, or whatever comes out their mouth. I'm going to keep myself on a level where when this event is finished, I still love myself and I'm still proud of the person I am. This is my shield against destructive people, against energy vampires, against drug addicts, against people in denial, against society, against so many things, that I always choose forgiveness. And I don't forgive people because they need it. I forgive people because I have realized that if I'm carrying a grudge, there's something I can't get over from a situation. If I carry that in me, it's like the integrity and the aura you have around you is like a shield you have. But the more you are carrying a grudge, the more you have something against another person, the more holes are in this aura, is in this integrity, in this shield you have around you, and the more negativity will actually get in. That is why I call it a protection. You forgive because you want to keep your own energy. You don't want to have a balloon that's full of holes, and you're blowing into this balloon and you want to make it big, but it just keep going, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So being humble and forgiving, loving and caring actually shut all the holes in the balloon, and you'll be able to make a big balloon. This is the easiest way I can explain it. So the choices you make in your life has a consequence. Always. Every choice in your life has a consequence. It has a consequence even if you can't see it. And like I said to my friend too, if you are fighting something and you don't know what it is, then in this situation I comes in and I paint this demon. I talk about this so he can actually see it, so he can actually fight it. Because my point is, you cannot fight an enemy you cannot see. You cannot solve a problem you can't see, you don't understand. And to take myself an example, 20 years ago, where I was in suicidal thoughts and was sitting in my bathroom crying and didn't want to live anymore, and I remember all the things that went on in my head was all the things I was pissed about, was my girlfriend dead, my mother and father were dead, nothing works, I didn't have any friends. It was all these things that was out of my control, that I was filled up with. And when God spoke to me, or my inner self, or whatever, that voice that came to me said, and the only thing the voice said is, I am proud of you. What are you proud of? It's like everything turned in my head, and I start thinking about the things I was good at, what I liked about myself, and the things I was before I had this thought, all the things I was troubling with, didn't become distant, but it was just not controlling my life anymore. And in these 15 years, one of my tools to actually deal with these brain farts, or spiritual depression, as I call it, is to find the things that I'm not happy about, and work to get rid of it in my life. And this is where this list that you make on a paper, where you build your self-esteem, where you write in the top of the piece of paper, you write, I don't love myself when, and then you're 100% honest about yourself, towards yourself, and you write down the things you don't love about yourself. Those are your inner demons, those are your character defects, those are your archetypes, side of yourself, behavior patterns that you need to get rid of. And when you write this paper down and you write all these things down that you need to change, you are making the invisible visible for yourself through this work. From coming from a normal person to be a spiritual person is to make the unconsciously conscious. It is to swallow your pride. It is to understand you're living your life on illusions, lies. You have to invite the truth in. And there are so many tools to work with yourself that doesn't require paying for it. And if one of the things that I burn for the most, or one of the things that is closest to my heart, is I want to give humans tools, the ability to actually work with themselves, to actually find the best version of themselves. And this is a process that can go on years, months, lives, reincarnation after reincarnation. It depends on how much pain you are willing to go through, how much denial you're in, how much you are controlled by outer things, the tribal the things you have been taught, all these things, and that is what I'm doing in my group Spiritual Guidance. I'm not trying, I am giving you tools to, for example, if it was possible to make a toolbox with thousands of tools, because the tools are different from person to person. If it was possible to make a toolbox, and it would be available for all people in the world, that they could go in their mind in and get this toolbox, and they could open this toolbox. They could actually pick up the tools they need, they want, that road they want to walk on that makes their life easier. And the reason the toolbox is filled up with a lot of tools is because we are 7 billion people on the earth, and there are 7 billion ways of doing things. In my opinion, all roads lead to God. And God is just a word of saying everything is as it should be. It is love. It is respect, it is care, it is forgiving, it is all these divine sacred things that humans are missing right now, because they are so concentrating about their needs. I need to start a better job, a big car, a new girlfriend. What I'm trying to teach people is that you don't need anything. You don't need anything. There's a lot of things you want, but there's actually nothing you need. But the choices you make, the life you live, will eventually attract what you miss, what you want in your life, what you're supposed to have in your life. But if you're focusing on your needs, I'm entitled to, it's one of the words that I think should be deleted from the English dictionary. Entitlement. I deserve. It should be deleted, because nobody deserves. Nobody is entitled to. It's all about consequences of your actions. So just write this behind your ear. There's always consequence to all your actions. So, like Jesus, he said, you harvest as you sow. Du ligger som du har redt. That means there is a consequence of your actions. And this is what people, they need to understand. That the problems most people have in their lives are some they have created themselves. The diseases they are fighting with in their lives are some they have created themselves through their lifestyle. And I can say this with 100% certainty, because I have never been sick in my whole life. I don't invite. I'm very aware of what is good for me and what's not good for me. I read a book where he talked about that you can use your hand as a scanner. So when you're in the supermarket, you can put your hand over all the things, all the food, and the food that is good for you, you can actually feel it. I would love to have that ability. But when I take that thought a little further and I look about what I eat, I remember I have very often said, I'm so tired of these 15 different meals that I can make and that I make. And I'm so tired of when I open the fridge, it's always the same that's in it. And but then I realized that I'm eating the things that are good for me. One example is I don't buy milk because I know what process it has been through. I go to a farmer that has cows and buys the clean milk. I'm so lucky I have my own drill for water. so I don't have to get water from varmeværket, what is it called? The place where they clean water and they put a lot of chlorine or whatever they put in the water that actually makes it toxic. But because we people have been filling ourselves with toxic things, food, water, air, our bodies are getting used to it, and that is the reason we don't live as long as we could. I remember when I was reading the Old Testament, they were talking about they were 200, 300, 500 years old, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not true. But then when I think about it, and I think about how the earth was 5,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, where there was no pollution, where there was no mark E on everything, there was no supermarket, there was no, all was natural. I'll bet the pollution that's in our body right now was not corrupting, destroying the body as it is today. So it is very important, I think, I know, that I fill myself up with the things that I love. I came to realize that it is not good for me to watch TV. I came to realize it's not good for me to be around toxic people. I came to realize that being stressed is not something that is good for me. And after thinking that thought, I actually realized that stress is something I invite into my life. It is not something you get. And here, 3 minutes to 8, when I said goodbye to my friend, I felt stressed, because normally I start my live stream at 8 o'clock, but I have to postpone it a half an hour because I needed to have something to eat before I started. And then I realized that stress I was feeling, I had invited in because I forgot time. There are clothes I don't wear anymore. There are music I don't listen to. There are places I don't come. I've never been to a concert in my whole life. I'm not the kind of person that likes big crowds in a small place. I have the ability to see auras and see the energy field. So when I'm with a lot of people, it's like I have to move myself away from the people, because if I'm in the middle of a lot of different energies, I get påvirket. What is the English word for that? I am being affected by this. And this is all in the process of what is good for me. A lot of people love to go to a concert. A lot of people love to hang out with a lot of people. A lot of people love to go to the cinema. A lot of people love to have those evenings where they sit with friends, have some good food and drink, and they enjoy that socialization. I have never been one of them. And I can choose to look at this two ways. I can look at it the destructive way and say, oh, I have no family, oh, I have no friends, oh, I can't do this, oh, I can't do that. Or I can actually go into the loving and caring lane and look at it as you are very good at taking care of yourself. You have realized what's good for you. You have learned to make good choices in your life, so you are happy and being in harmony and taking care of your integrity and being proud of yourself. So it's all about how you look at things, which glasses you have on. Do you have the honesty glasses on, or do you have the I love illusions glasses on? And that makes the road you're walking on more troubled, more filled with problems, or less filled with problems. It all comes down to decisions. Life is very simple, but we have a tendency of complicating it. If you have any questions, And it's okay to ask in Danish. I'll answer in Danish. You're welcome to write them now. I could go on and talk about this spirituality because it is one of my. It is why I'm here on earth. This is who I am. This is why I am. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. It is both my hobby and it's my. I'm burning for this. That is why I can watch so many videos, read so many books, listen to so many audiobooks, because this is my passion, and I want to do the things that I'm passionate about. I want to do the things that makes me happy, that I love. I could do a lot of things, go to concerts, be around toxic people, watching TV, watching the news, but I remember what kind of person it made me into when I did those things, and I don't want to go back. This is the cool thing about growing into spirituality, to actually wanting to change from a normal person to a spiritual person. When you cross the border from being normal to becoming a spiritual person, and you start having a spiritual practice, and that you're going to look back and say, wow, I'm never going back to the person I once was. I'm never going back, because it's all about, do you love yourself when you say, react, respond, treat both people and yourself like you did? Is it worth it? Is the pain you're in worth it? So, yeah. It's been my pleasure being with you, being with you here tonight. You see that blue light? It's I live in the country, and it catches all my flies. I hate flies. I really hate flies, especially when I sleep. But you don't know where that fly has put his legs the last time before it landed on your food. It could have been on a shit from a cow. So, but I'm not a person that lives in fear. Fear is not gonna control me. I don't fear anything. I don't have any problems. I don't create any problems. Sometimes I do, because I fall into old habits. But like I said to my friend here, if you want to change a bad habit into a good new way of living that'll do you good, you have to do 70 times the opposite of what you do normally. That's called I'm practicing. And when you have done the opposite, let's take an example, you want to ride a bike, and you keep falling off the bike, but you have decided you want to learn how to ride this bike. You're gonna keep getting up on the bike every time you fall off, and eventually you will actually start riding the bike further and further and further, and suddenly you will be able to ride the bike like we all can after we have learned it. But it's all about practice. It's all about having the courage to get back up. We all make mistakes, but when we realize the mistake we have made, when we realize that here's something we need to change, that is where courage and faith comes in. That you believe in yourself, you have faith in yourself. What you say and what you do are coherent. If the things you say and the things you do don't connect, in my world you are full of bullshit and you're losing your own self-respect. And that is the worst path to be on if you actually want to build yourself up. So practice killing your illusions. Practice being good at inviting the truth into your life. Practice I don't care what people think when you behave like this or you say like this. Most of the world are living illusions. Most of the world are having this power struggle. My father beats your father. I have more money than you. I have a big car. Look at my beautiful wife and blah blah blah. So when you as a normal person start to change, all these people look at you and say you're stupid, you're crazy. But my point is that we need to change the world from being this as it is now to a better place for everybody. And somebody has to go in front and light up the road for people that are blinded by all these things in society. There needs to be somebody who is walking in front of the others with the light so people have something to follow. That is why these spiritual leaders are so important in our society today, because this is something you can lean up against. This is something you can look at. It is something you can fill yourself up with. So with the desire to becoming like this person, or where does his or her strength come from? How can I accomplish that in my life? How can I get that? It's called planting seeds in people's hearts. And that's what I love doing, because I wish there was somebody like me when I 20 years ago, and there was. I actually found Carolyn Mays, but I actually don't know of anybody here in Denmark that unselfish, loving and caring, are willing to use hour after hour on talks, on writings, on making videos without getting paid for it. Because in my opinion, money is the root to all evil. It only corrupts yourself. So of course money is something we need today, because we need to buy things and pay for rent and pay for a car and all this. So you have to do your work, but please get a work that you love. But don't forget the spiritual side of life. Don't forget the spiritual depression that most people are suffering under. Don't be ignorant enough to believe in all these illusions that your doctor says, okay, this is what is wrong with you, you need this pill. I find it so horrible that the medicine industry actually makes medicine that makes you need more medicine. This is the money that controls the world. I'm all about looking at why do you have those symptoms you have? Are you willing to stop doing this and that gives the symptoms, so you don't need medicine, so you don't corrupt your life, so you don't destroy your body, so you don't get diseases that you cannot get rid of because you are, in many years have you ignored the reason to you got the symptoms, and that's why you're actually sick. That's why you have a disease that's diabetes, Alzheimer's, all these different, it's called følgesygdom in Denmark, I don't know what the English word is, lifestyle diseases comes from. So 58 minutes. I think I'm gonna stop my live stream. I thank you for listening, and you can find it in HD on YouTube later when I'm uploaded it. And oh, now my dog is screaming. So funny. I actually get imagine every time she's like saying all those sounds, there's a big dog after her. I don't know. She never had any bad experience her whole life, so I don't know what's happening, but yeah. I want to thank you for listening to me, looking at me. I know I'm not the most beautiful person in the world, but I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm who I am. One of my favorite artists, Narco Bear, sings in one of his songs, I go to bed with a knife next to my side and I take no shit. And that's maybe a good description of my life too. I've never hit a person. I've never put my hand on anybody, slapped them, or it's not my way of being. Yeah. I think my battery is empty. No, it's not empty. But I think I put enough of tools, thoughts, love into your heart. But feel free to contact me. Email, telephone, Skype, Discord, YouTube, Facebook. Just Google my name, Sean Riget. You will find everything. I'm the only person in the world with this name. That's one of the things I'm blessed to. Just Google my name. I actually made a song that's called Google My Name. You don't know me, but if you Google my name, you will. And it's okay to be in love with yourself. It is okay to show that you love yourself. People are actually, when they say blah, 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 they're actually jealous of your ability to be that loving and caring person. And that loving and caring person comes from, is being fueled by, that you actually love yourself. You have no problem showing it. So, yeah. Don't think about what people think. Don't. It's not worth it. Don't go down that road. Don't be controlled about other people. They don't give a shit about you. Thank you for now. I'm gonna take my walk and go for a walk in the darkness. Now it's getting slowly more and more dark. I remember it was light 11 o'clock, but now it's 9:30 and it's dark already. So the winter is coming slowly. I love winter. I love summer, I love spring, I love autumn. I'm gonna end this live session with a gratitude prayer, and wish you all a very good week. I hope you create some nice days. I hope you take control of your life and always realize that you're not a victim of anything. You have the problems you create. And like my last slogan where I wrote, what was the best suggestion, advice you have ever had? My best advice was, the day you let go of your need of being a victim is the day you heal. That was the best advice I ever had. So, thank you. Prayer time. Dear God, dear my soul group and all angels that are with me here now, I thank you for guiding me. I thank you for working through me. I'm honored and thankful that you have chosen me to do this work, and I'll do my best. I pray that all people eventually will wake up and realize that the pain they're in is not needed in life. And all these tools that I'm talking about that can actually simplify your life, I hope that people will get ready to invite them into their lives, also called the universal truth. Like Jesus said on the cross, the truth will set you free. That's what he meant about that. So I thank you for working through me. Thank you for tonight. Keep a loving and caring hand over us, hover over us, God. Blessed be you, and forgive us for the things we need to change that we still don't have the power to change. Så thank you. Tak fordi I lyttede med. Vi ses næste søndag, hvis alt går vel. Ha' det rigtig godt. Peace, love, share and care. Take care, people. I love you. I will always love you. And the more you love yourself, the more I love you. Later.